put, it's not the same army that they had in 2008 when they were fighting Georgia. We're talking about an army that's been massively upgraded since then. In Georgia, of course, armored vehicles were breaking down, the communications were poor, so there was friendly fire, but not now. The army's been seriously revamped, and it's had a test drive, if you will, in Crimea in 2014 and in Syria in 2015. So Russia's artillery is now world-class. Its use of electronics warfare is perhaps the best in the world. Add to that a large fleet of tanks, at least some of which are equipped with something called active protection armor, which kind of sets off localized explosions to deflect from incoming missiles. There's also 1,000 new jets that have arrived in the last decade, including the highly maneuverable Su-35s, which you can see here. And even the Russian infantry has got a sort of upgrade, if you will. I mean, I know they're not a technology, but you can kind of talk about it in that way. They're much better paid now, they're much better fed, and as reported by the New York Times, well, they've done away with their cloth wraps that they used to wrap their feet in, and now have nice thick socks.
All right, well, Peter, is there anywhere where Ukraine might have an advantage?
Well, technologically speaking, it simply doesn't. I mean, maybe you can talk about the T-64 tanks, which compared to the Russian model, they've managed to upgrade significantly. But then again, you could just turn back and say, well, Russia's got these T-72s, which have thermal optics twice the range of the Ukrainian T-72s. But all of that is a detail in the grand scheme of things, because we can see just how vastly superior the numbers are on Russia's side. And given how outnumbered it is, well, Ukraine will simply have to hope for a sort of a fighting retreat and employing guerrilla tactics, kind of drawing out a potential conflict for as long as possible. It is, though, equipped to do so thanks to some technologies, so especially the Javelin anti-tank missile launchers, and also the Stinger anti-air portable missile launchers as well. These have been supplied from abroad. The Javelins are extremely effective at disabling armored vehicles. They'll shoot up in the air, fly across, and fall down onto the target, onto the roof of, say, a tank, which is its weakest point. The problem is, though, that Russia clearly has air superiority with its modern air force, its Iskander rockets on the border, and its Caliber cruise missiles in the Black Sea. Well, Russia can hit targets pretty much almost anywhere in Ukraine. So we'd likely see a massive campaign of airstrikes to try and sort of wipe out these anti-tank, anti-air defenses before any Russian tanks started to roll in.
So to recap, Russia has more firepower, more manpower, but the U.S. says Ukraine has weather on its side.
Yes, so this has been cited, the mud thing. If we look back in 1812, of course, Napoleon got stuck in the mud when he was traversing Eastern Europe. Same fate befell the Nazis in 1941. It was just too muddy to get through. And some have suggested, well, you know, if Putin waits too long and the ice thaws, his tanks might get stuck in the mud as well. But the difference is modern Russian tanks are built purposefully lighter for this very situation. And also there's a lot more roads now than there were back in 1941. Besides, as I've said, Putin has many more options for airdropping troops and armor, and also for deploying long-range precision weaponry.
Yeah, and some of this crisis, which is most interesting, is the warfare isn't even just conventional weapons, but information warfare, cyber warfare.
Exactly. Doug touched on it. It's all about this sort of blended approach to warfare that Russia is now deploying. Not only does it have this upgraded military now, it has this electronic superiority, but it also has this cyber element. So Ukraine says Russia's already launched several large-scale cyber attacks on the country. These can be to sow fear, to spread misinformation, to obfuscate when, where Russia might attack. And one important thing to remember is that the technological advantage alone does not win wars. We've seen this recently with Afghanistan. We've seen it in the past with Vietnam. Plenty more conflicts are sort of unequal like that, and it's not necessarily the most technologically advanced country or military that wins. If Russia invades, which I should add, it says it denies it's planning to do, it also has to contend with Ukrainian morale, which could be hard to whittle down, and of course, whatever reaction would come from other countries internationally.
Indeed. Well, let's hope it doesn't come to war. Thank you very much, Peter. Peter O'Brien, France 24's technology editor.